Lucky bastard.
The observer, if you will. Instead of shut up and calculate, it's more like shut up and meditate. Free will flows naturally from self-realized consciousness.
Well, I'd rather
because a self-realized being can decide to do almost anything at any moment without cause. This is the defining element. Consciousness allows a brain to receive intent and carry out that intent without an underlying physical cause. Rather, the cause is an intention expressed through consciousness, reflected through the physical brain interface, which translates between consciousness and perception, and then carried out by the limbs and muscles in this physical world. This cause phenomenon, if you will, originates outside the realm of physics.
Demonstrate that there can be intent without a brain. Good luck.
I just want to say, in the words of Robert Downey Jr., "No, you just went full retard. Never go full retard." Something to that effect. I'm not really sober enough to do the voice properly.
He's just gone to Deepak. That's what he's in.
No, he just went full Jordan.
I think Jordan would actually be insulted by that.
But I think Jordan wouldn't try and link science to all that shit he was on.
Exactly.
Jordan just says, this is just my philosophy, whereas Mike Adams is taking it to such a fucking extreme and dark. Oh.
Right, and Jordan isn't saying that if people don't agree with this and that, then they are dangerous people. He's saying basically, and I'm going to misquote this, but that if people don't agree with this, then they won't ascend to a higher consciousness level when Nibiru gets here or something like that. He doesn't mention Nibiru, by the way. That was it. But that's he's not making threats or anything like that. We're saying that
or slippery slope arguments.
Exactly. That's what I'm. Slippery slope. That's what I was looking for. So yes, I maintain this guy is worse than Jordan.
I maintain that this guy is worse than just about anyone I have come across in recent history.
Yeah. See, this is why we wanted people to vote for this guy for Idiot of the Year, but no one knew who he was.
And this is why I've said it many times in the Facebook chat and on other message boards, I can't stand this guy. He is a detestable individual. Anyway, let's get through this.
And thus, its detection will forever elude physicists. This is an important concept to grasp, that the universe is not deterministic, and that thoughts and intentions can be created without the presence of a physics-based cause. The study of physics alone, then, will forever fail in detecting, describing, or understanding the nature of the mind and consciousness.
Argument from assertion.
I can decide to speak a random series of letters.
Argument from personal incredulity. Do you want me to keep going? I probably can.
A, Z, 7, U, asterisk, H, ampersand, E, and so on. There is no physical deterministic explanation behind my selection of those letters. They emerged entirely as acts of free will, brought into this physical universe through the translation of the mind through the physical brain, which controls my voice.
How would you demonstrate that?
The collision of consciousness
can't demonstrate
and matter.
It. How can you assert it?
Every act of free will, by the way, is an integral part of the creation of the universe itself.
What?
Without conscious observation, many quantum theorists believe the universe would not exist at all. Quote, observation...
Anyone?
It hurts my brain.
Marty, were you hurting yourself there? Marty?
I can't stand this.
We will get to the end of it.
How much longer?
Observations not only disturb what is to be measured, they produce it, said Pascual Jordan, one of the founders of quantum theory. This thought disturbed Einstein, who famously said, "I like to think that the moon is there even if I am not looking at it." But as quantum theory has now convincingly demonstrated, Einstein based his wish on the principles of two things: reality, that things exist on their own, separate from conscious observation, and separability, that matter and energy can exist in isolation, unconnected to anything else. Both of these ideas, reality and separability, have now been conclusively proven false.
Okay, what in the titty fucking shit balls?
This is now Johannan territory, I think.
He's going to say that because certain interpretations of quantum mechanics reject local realism. Well, I'm sorry, the realism part of local realism. That means reality doesn't exist, and that is not what it means.
Also, someone in the chat just said, wasn't Einstein known for being opposed to quantum mechanics?
Yes,
Okay.
and he eventually accepted it.
Just to let you know, there's 15 minutes left of this.
Oh, shit.
By both quantum theory and quantum experimentation. Scientific realism, more carefully defined, is the thesis that the objects of scientific knowledge exist and act independently of the knowledge of them. This belief has, as mentioned
only
above,
some
been
interpretations
demonstrated
of quantum
false.
mechanics reject that.
Quantum theory and reliable experiments based on quantum theory tells us that there is no such thing as a, quote, real object that exists in isolation without being influenced by other things, nor that it even exists as a real thing without being observed. As theoretical physicist John Wheeler explained, quote, "No microscopic property is a property until it is an observed property."
According to the Copenhagen interpretation, yes.
Which he... And wasn't Mike against the Copenhagen interpretation?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, God.
Furthermore, the separability question has also been conclusively answered. There is no separability in our universe. As physicists Bruce Rosenblum and Fred Kuttner state in their book Quantum Enigma, any two objects that have ever interacted are forever entangled. The behavior of one instantaneously influences the other, and the behavior of everything entangled with either. Our world has a mysterious universal connectedness that goes beyond what we usually consider physical forces. What all this tells us is...
Can I just point something out to this dipshit? He's saying that, you know, two things that have ever touched will be forever entangled. What about two things that have never touched? Like, I don't know, one speck of dust in one galaxy and a supernova in the other. There's a massive space in between them called a void, which has nothing in it. So they've never met, so they're not entangled. Therefore, go fuck yourself, sir.
There's an analogy
not only
I
that
could
we are
make
conscious,
here.
self-aware beings.
The idea of entanglement is basically like you have a connection between two coins, such that if one is heads, the other must be tails. Now you shake them up, you hold them together, and then you separate them, and you place them, you know, on a table or something so they can't flip, but you don't look at them. Now you look at one and you instantly know what the other one is. But here's the funny thing. If you, before looking at it, flip it upside down, you're not going to affect the other because now they are no longer entangled. They've interacted with something else.
Who influence the very existence of the things around us, but that our consciousness also affects the entire universe. What we choose to say or think or carry out through our actions sends ripples of reality coursing through the vast sea of matter and energy that is our universe.
I want to really send a huge fucking ripple his way at the moment.
I'd sooner just kick him in the bollocks and piss on his corpse. I hope that's not...
Not only can we influence everything in the universe instantaneously with our minds, but the laws of quantum physics reveal that we cannot help but do so. We are, quite literally, one with the universe.
Well, in what sense? What do you mean? Define your terms.
If he's trying to say that, you know, the atoms that make up our body were once forged in the hearts of dying stars, yes, we are one with the universe.
I somehow doubt that that's what he means.
Yeah.
Yes, but if he's trying to say that through some form of spiritual yen and deep meditation and thought we can feel the chi of the universe, then I think that he has inserted some form of anima just a bit too far, and it's poked his brain. Fuck this guy.
This realization gives rise to a far kinder and more useful philosophy than the so-called science offered by Hawking, who believes that human beings are soulless, mindless biochemical robots.
He didn't say that!
The belief that every living, conscious being in the universe is inherently connected to every other living being in the universe gives rise to a philosophy of compassion,
That's not what entanglement
valuing
is.
life and seeking peaceful ways to resolve conflict. It even leads logically to the principles found in many religions. Treat others as you would wish to be treated. Why? Because you are, through the fabric of reality, connected to them as they are to you. To harm another living being, as the Buddhists would say, is to harm yourself. To express compassion toward another conscious living being is to express love and compassion for yourself in the same instant. And on a personal note, I would add that conscious living beings also include animals and plants.
Stop. He's on a person. He's talking about on a personal note. You've never had... Everything you've presented is on a personal note. You have no clue about anything. Yeah, he said plants are conscious, yes.
The fuck?
And the thing is, he just said to harm another conscious being is to harm yourself, and I know for a fact he's a vegetarian. So he's still harming himself even when he has his veggie burgers.
Also, can I just say that if his idea is, you know, if by harming others you're harming yourself, I've thrown petrol bombs at people and small fluffy animals, and I've not burst into flames with shards of red hot glass in my face. It doesn't quite work out the way he's talking.
Yes. He's another one. I think we should send him on a trip to your neck of the woods, and I think he might...
I just need to fucking set up Northern Iron Tours. Here's your flak jacket, hold on to your balls.
Yeah, I wonder if he would be... how he would let us going around Belfast saying you're all one with the universe.
Grand, fuck yeah, cunt! Rick through his window.
Let's carry on.
Origins of the universe.
Oh God, no.
Any serious inquiry into the nature of the universe ultimately leads to the origin of the universe. On this subject, as with the subject of consciousness, conventional physicists fail to offer enlightenment.
No, they just don't have an answer yet. That's all it is. That's why we have physicists investigating it.
And what does offer anything? What does offer an answer that's actually correct?
Who's willing to bet he's going to go for Kalam here?
I would just like to say that if we're going for the answer, you know, the true answer that is honest and true for us all is, I don't fucking know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And until we're all willing to say that answer, we're all lying bastards. Well, the people that are still giving some... You know what I mean?
Instead of offering a mechanism by which the universe may have begun, they insist the universe spontaneously and without cause created itself out of nothing for no particular reason.
Straw man alert.
Oh. Yeah.
Now, how many times will we be saying this over the next segment? what physicists mean by nothing is not what philosophers mean by nothing.
Yeah.
We're not even really sure what nothing is yet.
Hawking writes about this in The Grand Design. But before we discuss that, allow me to explain the context of this idea first. When you talk to conventional physicists, they calmly explain that the universe follows certain laws or rules of nature. The law of gravity, for example, is one such law. There are laws concerning the conservation of momentum, chaos theory, thermodynamics, the behavior of light, and so on. This is all why...
Stop. Chaos theory is not a law of physics. It's a branch of mathematics.
Yeah.
Widely accepted,
yes,
as most of us would agree, the universe does appear to follow certain laws.
Yes.
But when you ask where those laws came from and how they came about...
Stop.
They're prescriptive laws. No,
we observe a behavior in nature, a consistent behavior, and we call that a law.
Yeah. That's it.
So if you want to ask where did the law come from the guy who decided to call it a law.
How the universe itself came about, you get a giant fudge factor called the Big Bang.
No!
Okay. Oh, so you're saying it's just a fudge factor that we can clearly observe that things are receding. Sorry, but that's an empirical observation.
The Big Bang is only us tracing the universe back to one Planck time, isn't it, Marty?
Yeah, well,
it's the universe in its current
let's just say tracing it back in time until the laws of physics simply don't tell us what would have happened before this.
We only get so far. It doesn't
the
explain
exact origin. We reach a point where it just breaks down.
Until we can figure out what laws worked before then, all we can do is work with physics and run around shouting, "I am the law."
Kind of.
Yeah.
Anything that physicists, and astrophysicists in particular, don't understand seems to get swept under the Big Bang rug.
What?
Don't know where the first hydrogen really came from?
I think they've got a rough idea, don't they?
Yeah.
Baryogenesis, yes. Yeah. There are things we don't know about it.
Wait, isn't there a brilliant video by King Crocoduck that's basically a brief history of everything that sort of gives a decent description of, you know, how light came to be and how atoms came to be and stars and shit? Watch that video. It explains some shit. It at least gives you a rough idea.
Don't worry. It all got magically and spontaneously created in the moments after the Big Bang. And
no,
where was the Big Bang before it went
what
bang?
Creationists
it was
believe.
nowhere,
they just don't call it
because
the Big Bang.
Created space, too. And what caused the Big Bang? Nothing.
No, we do not know.
We don't know what caused it. The idea that nothing, within quotation marks, caused it, well, that's one possibility, which holds up mathematically.
Isn't the ruling theory that the Big Bang was caused because nothing is the most unstable form of everything?
Yeah.
And that it basically just fractured for a moment and the Big Bang happened?
It's the uncertainty principle applied to a state where everything is zero.
Yeah.
Basically. And that holds up mathematically, but we don't know that it's the correct answer.
Yeah.
All we know is that it's consistent with what we observe. We would observe a universe which is essentially flat, for example, and that's what we observe. But that doesn't prove it. It simply, the evidence supporting this is, well, it's bad because the same evidence could support other ideas.
For all we know, we're just mold growing in an intergalactic petri dish.
Pretty much. Well, basically the honest answer is we don't know, but there are ideas that are worth exploring.
Yeah.
The Big Bang spontaneously caused itself, without any apparent reason or intention.
We don't know. Oh.
That seems pretty far-fetched in a universe that's supposed to follow laws. So to answer all of this, Hawking writes, quote, because there is a law like gravity
that have led to this conclusion that this is possible. Apply the laws of nature to a state where all physical quantities are zero.
Yeah, because I think this is theoretical bullshit that if nothing really is a complete absence of everything, then how can anything act on it?
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. There's like there's all this different idea. We just don't know.
But another thing that I really hate is when this idea that nothing, if they really mean nothing, as in not even laws, then there would be no law preventing the spontaneous creation of things.
And it's like, and someone else, Tracy Harris, say, how can we know what nothing does? We've never really looked at nothing yet to know what it doesn't do.
The universe can and will create itself from nothing in the manner described in Chapter 6. Spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing. The obvious reference to spontaneous creation here deserves some discussion. Wasn't it physicists who have been berating the God-believing creationists over their belief in spontaneous creation? God didn't create the universe, they insist. The Big Bang...
just cut in here. Physicists insult Christians not because they believe in spontaneous creation, but because they believe in spontaneous creation by an imaginary sky daddy who did everything in the wrong fucking order.
And you also have to keep in mind that when Hawking uses the expression spontaneous creation, that's in a popular science book. Yeah. You're not going to find that phrasing in a peer-reviewed paper.
Yeah.
Because when you have to dumb shit down for the plebeians and the general public, then you're going to have to dumb it down. You don't use the big sciencey mumbo-jumbo-y specially words that I can't remember the specific term for. Terminology. That's
Bang did. And how did the Big Bang come about? Spontaneous creation. They might as well just add by God after the phrase, it seems, since they have now adopted the very same argument put forth by.
The thing is, God has got a lot of properties. So, there's so much wrong with this.
And how can it be spontaneous creation if God caused it?
Yeah.
Then it is spontaneous. It has a cause.
I'm not Catholic, but I will point out the Catholic Church has for many years stated that the Big Bang is entirely consistent with creationism because God created the Big Bang, which gave rise to everything else.
The Big Bang theory.
Actually, the idea that God or a sufficiently intelligent and advanced being of some sort caused the Big Bang is one of the more promising theories of where it all came from. It makes a lot more sense than the idea that it just kind of created itself out of nothing without any reason or cause.
Now, what's the big question about this intelligent cause and creator? What caused it?
And isn't another question is why is he such a prick?
Yes.
But we'll get to that later. Back to Hawking's quote. The logic of his statement just shatters at the slightest probing. Because there is a law like gravity, he says the universe will create itself. This is illogical. It's a lot like saying, because my car's brakes follow the laws of physics, they will therefore create themselves out of nothing.
No. Total non sequitur.
That can't even form good analogies, this guy. I mean, I hate to be crediting Kent Hovind with anything, but at least with his analogies, you know, it made you just think for a minute, and then you can deconstruct these analogies that Mike Adams is coming up with. They're just nonsensical.
If something follows the law... The brakes on your car were not the result of the uncertainty principle acting on nothing. For one, there was something for it to act on. So you have a completely different set of circumstances. You cannot simply say that because they follow the laws of nature, they must do the same thing. They are different things.
Yeah. All right.
If people don't agree with this, then they won't ascend to a higher consciousness level when Nibiru gets here or something like that. He doesn't mention Nibiru, by the way. That was it. But that's...
Yeah.
He's not making threats or anything like that. We're saying that, you know...
Or slippery slope arguments.
Exactly. That's what I'm...
Yeah.
Slippery slope. That's what I was looking for. So yes, I maintain this guy is worse than Jordan.
Jordan wouldn't try and link science to all that shit he was on at the
Exactly.
Jordan just says, this is just my philosophy, whereas Mike Adams is taking it to such a fucking extreme and dark.
Right, and Jordan isn't saying that if people don't agree with this and that, then they are dangerous people. He's saying basically, and I'm going to misquote this, but that good luck.
I just want to say, in the words of Robert Downey Jr., nigga, you just went full retard. Never go full retard. Something to that effect. I'm not really sober enough to do the voice properly.
He's just gone to Deepak. That's what he's in.
No, he just went full Jordan.
I think Jordan would actually be insulted by that.
But the thing
Rather, the cause is an intention expressed through consciousness, reflected through the physical-brain interface, which translates between consciousness and perception, and then carried out by the limbs and muscles in this physical world. This cause phenomenon, if you will, originates outside the realm of physics.
Demonstrate that there can be intent without a brain.
Lucky bastard.
The observer, if you will. Instead of shut up and calculate, it's more like shut up and meditate. Free will flows naturally from self-realized consciousness.
Well, I'd rather
Because a self-realized being can decide to do almost anything at any moment without cause. This is the defining element. Consciousness allows a brain to receive intent and carry out that intent without an underlying physical cause.